Let me tell you a harsh truth. Everything in your life has a cost. The good, the bad, everything comes at a cost. But here's the kicker. The cost is not always visible to the eye. Sometimes the cost could be just simple as money, but a lot more times it could come off as stress or volatility. And if you do not have the foresight to see the cost, then you might have walked away from the only thing that could make you wealthy. That is what this chapter 13 of The Psychology of Money by Mr. Morgan Housel is all about. This chapter itself has changed the way how I think about stress, money, anxiety, and fear. This chapter has told me that these things are not to be afraid of, or feared of, or avoid, but to use them to push yourself forward. The key takeaways I took from this chapter are: firstly, everything in life has a cost, even if you did not see it upfront. Secondly, in investing, the price is not dollars, it is fear, volatility, doubt, and uncertainty. Thirdly, many people reject great opportunities because they do not recognize it or want to pay the invisible cost of it. Fourthly, the market has no fee lunches, just the fees that is distinguished as emotional challenges. And lastly, learn to see the mental toll as a fee and not a fine. Pay it and move on. And with that, let's talk about the deeper details in my notes. The lesson number one, which I took away from this chapter, it is the hidden cost of wealth. All of us want to be rich, but the question is, are you willing to put the work in? After reading this chapter, it has told me very important things. Firstly, this chapter says wealth cannot come to you without stress. The investing gains can't come in without volatility, and growth cannot happen without uncertainty, because those things really don't exist. In the world of investing, the price of the success is to be comfortable when everybody else is panicking, and staying calm when everything feels like it is burning down. And then Morgan says something inevitable. He says everything has a price, but not all prices appear on labels. And with that, it brings me to the next key takeaway from the lesson, which is where most people go wrong. People experience discomfort and they start assuming that something is wrong or broken down. But in reality, it is just a fees that you're paying. Morgan tries to explain this by saying the trick is convincing yourself that the market fee is worth it. Like paying for a gym membership, it hurts, but the results will come over time. The volatility is the fees. The doubt, that is also a fee. And watching your investments dip and not come up, that too is also a fees. And many people quit the game of investing because they perceive these fees as punishments. But in reality, it was just the cost of admission. And with that, it brings me to the next key takeaway from the chapter, which is don't confuse fees with a fine. You have to understand this and bring this shift of mindset in your life as well, because this mindset will help you grow in life, in wealth, in finance, in investing. A fine is a penalty. A fees is something that you have to pay to attain something. And then Mr. Morgan says, you pay a fees in Disneyland for the rides. Don't get mad about it. You just accept it, right? Same thing with investing. People have to change their mindset. They have different mindsets. They treat temporary loss as a sign to quit, but not as a sign to hold on to the line. And that is the reason that only few succeed in the world of investing and a lot of people lose. And they lose because they do not want to pay the price for it. And at many times, those who have lost, they didn't lose because they are not smart or they don't have the insights of the market. They lost because they wanted to avoid the emotional fees you have to pay. And with that, it brings me to the next key takeaway from the chapter, which is volatility equals the price of admission. Listen to me carefully. You want long term gains? Be then ready to have short term chaos. And then Mr. Morgan says, if you view market volatility as a fee, you will be more likely to be stick around and you'll win. What I understood from this is that if you want market to reward you, then you will have to stick in the market longer than anybody else wants to. But the people who stick are the people who have practiced the art of restraint, the people who have patience, humility, and definitely the market tests these people again and again. And it will test me as well. First with the fear, then with FOMO, and then with uncertainty. The question I have to ask myself is, am I ready? And if I am, ask myself again, am I ready to pay the price for it? And with that, it brings me to the final takeaway from this chapter, which is learn to pay quietly. Morgan ends this chapter with a very powerful line. He says, admire wealth that quietly paid for, not flaunted, not feared, just earned by enduring what other ran from. Now that I have completed this chapter, it has taught me a very important lesson about life itself. And this lesson will also help me when I am going to start to invest. This chapter taught me, firstly, every reward has a cost. Sometimes it's money, sometimes it's emotion, sometimes it's fear, sometimes it's mental, sometimes it's anxiety. But there is a cost to everything. And the real question you need to ask yourself before you get into this market, are you willing to pay the price for it? Secondly, the biggest win comes from the hardest struggle. And lastly, don't wish it was easier. Understand it's worth it. You have upside and downside to every single success stories and a failed story. Once you have comprehend this idea into your life and understand what Morgan is trying to tell you and what I am trying to share with you, you will then believe that you can do anything you want if you stick long enough with it. And trust me, if you have ever questioned yourself during a setback, then this chapter and this video should be a reminder to you that you're not failing, you're just paying the price for the deserved win. And one day the result will be shown to the world. And that brings me to the end of this chapter summary. I can't just believe that this book is handing out masterclasses and lessons like gems with every single page I turn. I will be seeing you in my next video where I will be talking about the next chapter from this same very book. See you next time.